What is a high SKU warehouse? It's a warehouse that actually has numerous items per SKU. So it could be a centralized warehouse that's maybe pharmaceutical, apparel, computer that has thousands of items or millions even per SKU. So you'll have, numerous places, numerous locations, aisles. So depending on what the warehouse consists of, you can have racking up to 20, 25 feet with numerous pallets on it. You can actually have numerous bins in a carousel. So when the carousel comes down, you can have like 20 bins, but has thousands of pieces per SKU item. So it's just more of a vast inventory in one warehouse. Well, it's inventory because there is so many parts and pieces to this inventory in this warehouse. You're going to have a lot of different locations. You're going to have people that are receiving in this product that they're going to be ended up bringing in more inventory. They're going to have more locations, more places to put these items. So it becomes difficult on actually prioritizing where it needs to go, how it needs to go, where it needs to be put up. And especially when you're doing an inventory, you've got to make sure that your product is put where it needs to be put, always, received, and make sure it's counted when it's received. Because if it's not, it's going to cause issues in your inventory counts and also your inventory verification. You'll see that also their system that they're running, it's got to be a WMS system that can handle that sort of a warehouse because they're so vast that system has to be robust and it also has to have a lot of human interaction that has knowledge on that, because if they don't do it correct, it can cause a lot of discrepancy with even doing a cycle count or doing a count, or like I said, doing a verification. It can become very hard. Say if you were going to ship 1,000 bolts out, then that person that goes and picks those bolts and puts them into the order actually goes right through their system and either scans the SKU, takes that amount, counts it out, and actually packages that item to be sent out. So that goes through their WMS to state what was left and what went out of that building, which should be correct by that person pulling it, packaging, and sending it out. That WMS subtracts that amount. So say if there was 10,000, now there would be 9,000. And then that's where it comes the part of when it comes to inventory, that when you're doing it that say the next day or you're doing it a month later and that's the only thing you may be sold, you should be exactly at that amount. If you're not, then that's where when it's counted, we go by and verify exactly what is missing, how it became missing, and try to find out those issues and resolve that problem. The biggest thing is the WMS system. It's going to basically track a high warehouse that has a lot of SKUs. It's all going to start with the beginning. It's always going to start with the receiving of the item, making sure it's counted, making sure it goes in right, going into the strategies to train your team, to make sure your team knows exactly what to do, how to bring that item in, where to put that item, location, make sure the locations are correct, that the items are being put in the locations, and that they're actually inputting in the system correctly. Human error, like I said, is a big thing again. If they're not paying attention, if they're being disrupted. So the strategy is not to be disrupted when you're doing things, not to be disrupted when you're counting or doing inventory control. You have to be consistent on how you're doing it, where you're placing it, the system that you're using, how to use your system. Training your people is a huge thing on inventory, making sure what's coming in, what's going out. Also, you can run into big issues in your systems if you do not take away your obsolete inventory or your inventory that does not move. If it's still sitting there and you have people still messing with that inventory, it can cause a lot of problems in where you're moving in the warehouse. Is it getting stuck in a bin that those other parts shouldn't even be in there? So it's just basically being clean in a warehouse, being accurate and following procedures and being trained on what to do. When you're doing verification, usually, like I said, you have a counter, which is a blind counter. A blind counter basically is just scanning your SKU, counting the pieces out. The verification process is for a person to go behind them and find out, is the WMS correct or is the counter correct? If they both come out correct, then you're going with that number. If it's not, then who's correct? The system or the counter? So that's where verification comes in, where you need to actually go behind. You're going to have to probably do a recount. And that's the thing in a big warehouse, where that strategy and disruptions and making sure that you're counting that correct, because then there could be problems with restocking levels, what you need to reorder, how you need to reorder it. So it's also, you need to take that verifier and make sure that they know how their job, how they're doing it, how they're trained. Plus, when you're verifying all those pieces, that they're going to have to go in, count them, make sure the WMS doesn't have different locations for the same part and SKU. You can have maybe some parts on a pallet that's 20 feet up, or you can have them down in a bin, in an aisle, or in a carousel. So the verifier has to take the time and make sure that WMS is effective and is correct also. And then the verifier just has to take the strategies to make sure that they're implementing procedures on how to verify accurately. It's going behind them, making sure that the numbers are matching the system. If they're not, doing a recount and readjusting where they need to, and digging deeper if they cannot resolve the issue. Where is it coming in? Did it come in from receiving? Did it come in from not going out? Did they not put it in the system? So it's all just a very technical issue when it comes to big SKU warehouses. There could be numerous, problems in that area, but if you have a good verifier and a good counter, that's where, it really lies, where in a WMS system is your three basic things in training.